Hi everyone, how are you doing? Hope you are doing great. Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is one of my late night, well, kind of late night recording. So I'll probably drop this at some point later on tonight. So, anyways, welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Polo. As you know, we are a channel that supports the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry, Meghan, Archie, Baby Lily, Mama Doria, Poola Guy, the chickens, and the whole Invictus community. Welcome, guys. As you know, we are biased, we are petty, and we just are here for our faves. But our faves are back in California now, and I'm sure hanging out under their tree, just decompressing from a nightmarish, honestly, nightmarish trip to the UK. Shutter Island, as we as we call it here. But anyway, so hopefully they're relaxing under a tree, healing both mentally, spiritually, physically, all the ways that they need healing. So hopefully they are getting that healing with their family there in California. So we are very happy that they are back in the US, back at home, but away from that vulture family of theirs, and just hopefully they are able to, and again, just to take some time to heal. So this is, coming to the end of the morning, I guess. And so I am looking forward to next week for our return to archetypes. And so I am very excited for that to continue. And I know a lot of people are waiting for that as well. So yes, it will be very exciting. So what is going on? My goodness. There's been a lot of even though our faves are under the tree in California, there's been a lot of stuff going on. I mean, the British press is being the British press, and all of that mess is happening. And it's just like, you know what, I'm just going to leave the British press there, and I'm going to stay in California, where you can, at least in the US, where you can clear your mind of the vileness and vindictiveness. So yes, but as much as we want to stay in California, there's this article dropped today, and it was just like one of those articles that you're like, really, really. And it's just, I don't want to laugh because it's not funny, but it's just like you're reading the thing and you're like, are you serious? And so I don't know if you guys have seen this before. But the Independent did this article today and dropped it today, from the third cousin of Prince Charles. Her name is Christina Oxenberg, and so she decided to weigh in on what Meghan was going through on Shutter Island, as a member of the royal family. And so she says, hellish kind of hazing King Charles' cousin talks about the family's treatment of Meghan. And that's not just the press or online, but this is the family's treatment of Meghan. It says King Charles's third cousin has opened up about the royal family's treatment of Meghan Markle, saying she was effectively hazed after joining the firm. Christina Oxenberg, the daughter of Princess Elizabeth of Yugoslavia, praised the former Suits actress, saying only those who are tough as nails tend to survive the monarchy's hostile treatment to newcomers. To Meghan Markle, I say, what you're going through is a hellish kind of hazing, Oxenberg told the New York Post. If she can hang in there, someone else would. I can't even believe I'm reading this. But I am. If she just hang in there, someone else would come along who can take the heat. Nobody gets a pass. Yeah, she literally said that. And it goes on to say, again, these are different clippings from it. She goes on to say, Oxenberg doesn't believe her family have an issue with with Markle's race, but said they are tough, and they are tough on foreigners. It's not your skin color. It's about being a foreigner. And, says white girl. And it's always funny, just even thinking about the end of this thing where it talks about it's not your race, it's because you're a foreigner. And I'm like, the Saxe Coburg, whatever the other name, they have three of them. They're German. They're not English. And I'm like, foreigner? They're not, they're German, you know? And the Saxe Coburg Gotha, or however you say it, their last name. But it's just, I was reading thing, I'm like, are you serious? You know? And her thing is like, what she's going through is effectively hazing. And if you know what hazing is abuse. Is they do it like in cults, or say when you're pledging for an alma mater or something in college, and they put through their new recruits through this abusive period where they do all kind. I mean, kids have actually died. Quite a few have actually died from hazing when they're pledging a sorority or something like that. And this is what she's saying, that is it's not the press or the online. This is what the royal family has done to Meghan. And you can say a lot of ways they've used the press to do this and to make it even worse. And her thing is like, and I was just like, I cannot believe I'm reading this woman. If she just hangs in there, someone else would come along and take the heat. So in other words, Meghan is supposed to take abuse for the next how many years? I guess George or Charlotte, or whatever they get married, when they become adults, take abuse until the next person marry into the family, and not the man, because you've seen 2 men came after Meghan, and nobody talks about them, nobody abuses them. No, like you don't even remember that they're there. Nobody says anything to them. But this is how they treat women. And it is alarming to me that she's so flippant about this. You know, somebody else would come along and take the heat. So that means some unsuspecting person come marrying to royal family, and then they becomes a villain, and then they start getting the abuse. And this has been going on for generations, or at least for decades. And nobody is speaking out about this. She just sort of like gives her family a pass that this will be, it's just hazing, it'll pass, and somebody else will come along and they'll get the abuse. And it's like, why does it's just like, are these people crazy? One, hazing is abuse. It is abuse. And the idea of, you have to sit there, put up and shut up, and which is a lot of why they hate Meghan, because she would not shut up about their abuse, and they're terrified that she spill all of that. And so it's unreal to me that she is just like, oh yeah, just hang in there, honey. Just take the abuse. Just take, the racist name calling. Just take the humiliation. Just take all the mocking. Just take all the lies and all the, just take it. Allow them to throw you under the bus and use you as a scapegoat. Or just hang in there for the next person to come so they can do that same thing to the next unsuspecting woman to come into this family. And we have a whole country of people that has co-signed this abuse. Where it's just like, she shouldn't say anything. I mean, look at Camilla. Camilla took it. Look at Kate. Kate took it. And look at now. They're getting nice press. And this is the abusive culture of the UK. It is so, like, I was sitting there reading this thing, and I could not believe, I was just like, I could not believe this woman is literally sitting there co-signing abuse of another woman. And then not only that, she also she mentions it here as well, that it's not about her race. It's about, it's not about her skin color. It's about, her being a foreigner. Again, that is part of it. The xenophobia is part of it. But there's also racism. And I mean, take that from a white woman who has no concept of what it means to be a Black woman to have racism comes at you, especially when British people do it, because it's so subtle. If you don't know what it is, if you've never experienced it, if you've never been the victim of it, how would you even know it's there? And so it's just like, lady, and she goes on to say that, Kate has felt that the same thing has been done to her, and Princess, I guess, Michael or whatever, she was abused because of she's a foreigner and all of that stuff. And it's just like, it's like there is nothing has dawned there for her that this is abusive. This is unacceptable. Nobody should have to put up with this. I don't care who you are. I have no love or no care for Kate Middleton or Camilla or any of those, but none of them should have been putting up with this. And if people have done this to them, and they have, they should speak up. No woman, because again, this is how they treat women in the royal family. Women should be speaking up about this behavior. It is just unreal to me. I was just like, oh my gosh. And again, this is within the family, not the outside, where she is going through this brutal racist, although Miss Oxenberg thinks otherwise, treatment. This is like beyond anything anyone else has been. And so many people are saying they've never seen anything like this, where she's not only getting it from the royal family, but she's getting it from the press, she's getting it from social media. It's just like, and not just in the UK. Now you have Australia, all the, Rupert Murdoch's paper. You have the US with Rupert Murdoch's, the Fox and others that, and the New York Post and all of those things, which New York Post is who she talked to, because this is who they're quoting in Independent, and it's unreal that this is allowed to go on, and people could be like, oh yeah, it's just hazing, just wait until the other person come and they'll get the abuse and you'll be fine. Never mind your mental health. Never mind what that does to you emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Never mind that this will, most likely cause you to go into a depression. Never mind all of those things. Never mind it could drive you to suicide. Never mind all of those things. Oh, don't worry. You can take it. You're tough. There's a reason why, again, when Prince Charles, or King Charles now, calls her tungsten, I was like, don't. Because this is what they do. They do this to you and strip you of your humanity. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, she's tough. She can handle it. She's tungsten. The hardest mineral, the hardest rock in the world. She's tungsten. She has no feelings. She has no emotions. You can abuse her all you want. But she can handle it. And this is exactly what they've been doing to Meghan. I mean, if I have to thank Miss Oxenberg, Miss Christina Oxenberg, is at least somebody in that family own up to the fact that they're abusers. Somebody own up to the fact that this is coming from them. And it's just, oh my God. I was like, these people are sick. They are truly, truly sick. I don't think I have ever come across people like this I didn't even know people like this existed. And so-called families like this existed. This is just unreal to me. But anyway, yep, that was Miss Oxenberg. It's just like, oh my gosh. Moving on to no, it's not more pleasant, but at least it's like, away from our fave, as hopefully they're under a tree and they're not dealing with any of this mess, But yesterday episode we talked about just the ratings, because the UK are all about the ratings. Never mind how morbid it is to be comparing ratings from two dead people. They're doing it between the Queen and Princess Diana and all of that stuff. And so they were crowing about this ratings that they're having. So yesterday it was they were still tallying stuff up and they were throwing out these numbers. So this is what the numbers are so far. It says the funeral of the Queen Elizabeth drew only 11.4 million viewers in the US. A comparison, Princess Diana's funeral drew 33.2 million US viewers. Prince William and Kate Middleton's wedding drew 22.7 million viewers, and Prince Harry and Meghan wedding 29.2 million. And if you want to, kick in the Oprah ratings as well, for the day or whatever. Oprah, the ratings for the interview with Oprah was in the US was 17 million viewers, all above what the Queen has. And to be honest, I was surprised that 11 million people watch this. I thought it would be a lot less, but again, we do have quite a large right-wing section of the US, and the Queen and the royal family is their mothership, so they'd be tuning in. So yeah, again, I was surprised. I was like, oh, that many people watch this, but they did. And so, but again, they were all crowing about it, and then you do the comparisons. Hers is 11,000, Princess Diana's 11.4 million. Princess Diana is 33.2 million people, US people of viewers, and of course the weddings. And one of the things that they were been throwing out also is like, what is the worldwide viewing numbers? And so I actually was looking up the Oprah Winfrey interview worldwide numbers. It says it's part of a Deadline article. The first part of it was, I felt like, a little bit snarky in a way, but and also using the word Megxit. But this part gives you a little bit of sense of how large the worldwide viewership was for the Oprah Winfrey interview. It says, if the numbers doesn't cause you to take to bow and curtsy, that's 17 million people, or 70 million views. It says, get ready for the global audience that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex snared with the Queen of Talk. A whopping 61 million around the planet have turned in so far to Harpo Productions special license to CBS domestically. And of course, that was earlier this year. I'm sorry, that was last year, March. This was actually March 12th. So it's like 5 days after the interview aired in the US. And so again, if you look at the Queen's numbers and you match it up, everyone else, her ratings are the lowest. But the UK are so desperate to make the king the Queen like the queen of the world, and every single person just worships her. And that is simply not true. The numbers aren't adding up to that at all. So much so, yesterday I talked about this exact thing, and then I got confused with the 4.1 million or 4.1 billion. But yes, it says 4.1 billion or 5.1 billion people around the world watched the Queen's funeral. But let's read this again. It says, we've seen claims that 4.1 billion or 5.1 billion people around the world watched the Queen's funeral, but we've seen no data to support this claim. Be wary of any outlet or person citing huge numbers without evidence. And so Full Fact went, they were checking. That's what they are, Full Fact. You want to get the full facts of things. They went checking and realized like different outlets had put out this number, 4.1 billion, and on Facebook, 5.1 billion, and they have no evidence to back up that, that figure at all. And so it says, in the past few days, various different claims have been made about how many people watched or were expected to watch the Queen's funeral on television. A number of media outlets, including LBC, Mail Online, and Metro, reported that an estimated 4.1 billion people were expected to tune into the Queen's funeral worldwide, more than half the globe population. The 4.1 billion appears to be based on a comment reportedly made by Carolina Beltran, a TV analyst for Watch TV Abroad, a website which provides information on how to watch various popular TV programs in different countries. We contacted Watch Abroad to ask how they arrived at this estimate, but had not heard back ahead of publication. We will update this fact if they respond. Despite all of this, many news outlets appear to have reported the 4.1 billion figures as face value. We have contacted LBC Mail Online and Metro for comment. So if anybody is, claiming any of these crazy numbers, 4.1 million, 5.1, 6.1 million, watch the Queen's funeral. Lies, lies. So yeah. So thank you for the fact that they went in there and got the truth. And yeah. So it'll be interesting at the, in a few months when all the numbers kind of settle down to see where it landed. So that would be very, very exciting to see. It's funny. This actually just, I don't even know where it came from. But I was just like, well, this kind of gave me a, maybe that's a little morbid, but it gave me a giggle when I read it. So actually, let me take myself off of here so I can actually read. Yep, okay, there. And I could actually read what it says. It says, foreplay, God save the stream. There was quite a bit of rating chat in the paper this week, disrespectfully pitting the viewers for the Queen's funeral against other big televised events. Some reports have said just 28 million people in the UK ended up watching Monday's service, fewer than watched the final penalty shootout in the 2020 and the Euro 2020 or the funeral of Diana. So the Euro 2020 was a little less than 31 million, and they said the same for Princess Diana's funeral, just 33.2 million. So what on earth were her disloyal subjects watching instead? Well, Channel 4 streaming service A114 had one of their biggest viewing days of the year so far on Monday. A bump in traffic that has largely drawn from people watching episodes of The In-Betweeners. So anyway, I think people are just tired with the non-stop round the clock reporting and are looking for some other choices there, to view, other things to look at. So, after you get that thing beaten over your head for 24 hours, you're like, can I just get out of here? So anyways, and also this little gem that popped in as well, it says, Prince Harry will have been delighted to see among the people those present at his grandmother's funeral were Lord Rothermere and Rebecca Brooks, after an embarrassing amount of lobbying. That's right. Lord Rothermere, the owner of the Daily Mail, who has been going out of their way to try to destroy Harry and Meghan, they were at Queen Elizabeth's wedding. Rebecca Brooks, who is part of all of those hacking scandals, including Harry and William and all of those, all part of that, Rebecca Brooks. And here she is. And apparently there she was at the funeral. I don't have a picture of them, but according to this website, they were there. And there was one reporter who is online a lot. He basically confirms it because he retweeted it. So imagine that, you're a Harry and you're there, brokenhearted to look up and see Lord Rothermere, the man who has been doing everything in his power to destroy you and your family. And there he is at the Queen's funeral. And again, these people are all friends. They're all friends. It's just like they've cultivated this relationship. The royal family's cultivated this relationship with tabloids especially. And, there you go. They're at Queen Betty's wedding. I'm sorry, her wedding, her funeral. So anyways, moving on. It's so funny. I named this episode Royal Family has 99 problems and one is not Meghan. This is one of the big problems that they have today in Sydney and Melbourne. Thousands of people gathered to protest and, call for the monarchy to be abolished. And it says the monarch represents everything that's wrong in the world. Over 1,000 people across Sydney and Melbourne gathered to protest the National Day of Mourning for Queen Elizabeth II, calling for more Indigenous rights. And, got random guy on the internet who was there, I guess, says no gods, no masters, no royals. And so Sydney is starting to make their voices known, because I know the Cambridges had claimed that they were going there, in Australia, I guess, to do one of their charmless offensive tours again. And so, yeah, people are sick and tired, and they are beginning to get their voices heard, and I am all here for it. So kudos to those 1,000 people in Sydney and Melbourne, Australia. Yeah, and I mean, people are there. They are. They are just marching, and it's so good to see like Black Lives Matter banner there and abolish the monarchy banner. It's like, yes. Hashtag in quotes it says down with the king. I guess that was may have been one of the chants. Down with the king is the call ringing out across Melbourne as thousands march, calling for an end of the monarchy. So yes, that is down with the king was one of the things that they were chanting. And so they are very, very fired up to be getting rid of the monarchy from their country. So kudos to them, absolutely kudos. And so anyways, changing the subject just a little bit. Oh my goodness. Last time, a couple of days, I think a couple of episodes ago, or maybe it was even last episode, I talked about the Metropolitan Police and, the fact that, Prince Charles had gone there. But even before that, we remember this. We talked about this at the beginning of the year. The Metropolitan Police had tweeted this out, that they're launching an investigation into the allegations and offenses I'm sorry, let's just read that again. We have launched an investigation into allegations of offenses under the Honors Prevention of Abuse Act 1925. Decision follows an assessment on the September 21st letter related to media reporting alleging offers of help made to secure honors and citizenship for a Saudi national. And so they went into this thing over here with what a little more detail of what is going to happen, what is to come, and what was supposed to be their interviewing process. Says special inquiry team has conducted an assessment process, which has included contacting those believed to hold relevant information. Officers liaise with the Princess Foundation regarding findings of an independent investigation into fundraising practices, and the foundation provided a number of relevant documents. These documents have been reviewed alongside existing information. The assessment determined an investigation will commence. There have been no arrests or interviews under caution. So when they did this earlier this year, they had not interviewed anyone at all. And so, but there was a big thing, they put it on their site. It's on Twitter. I mean, this thing is still on Twitter. They also put it on their site. And, a couple of days ago, when we saw a video from the Metropolitan Police with Prince Charles visiting the Metropolitan Police, and, they were saying His Majesty the King Charles III visited our special operations room today to thank our officers who have been keeping visitors safe as they pay their respects to Her Majesty the Queen. And so we talked about this, like, okay, but what about that cash for honor stuff? What about the cash for access stuff? Not the, they're not. He's not up for the investigating the cash for access, but the cash for honors, which is illegal to be buying and selling honors. And so we talked about this a couple of days ago about the fact that that's what the Metropolitan Police is supposed to be investigating this man. We talked about the fact that up until this year in August, they still had not questioned Michael Fawcett. Michael Fawcett's wife is like, we're here ready to talk to the police, and they haven't come calling. And so, and it's the same Metropolitan Police that dropped investigation into Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre's court case. And so again, when we talked about it, I pointed out that there's all this stuff, but here he is chumming up with the Metropolitan Police, and I don't expect anything to happen with that, And so it's very funny when when the Metropolitan Police tweeted that out. I in turn tagged Gabriel Pagran. He is the reporter from the Sunday Times who had been dropping, and exposing the cash for access, cash for honors, cash for all kind of stuff. Gabriel Pagran and two other reporters have been in on this, and he seemed like the lead reporter on this stuff. I could be wrong, but he seemed that way. He's I see more of his stuff. And so he didn't respond to me when I posted, but he today posted or at least retweeted this article from Newsweek saying what we were saying. It says, King Charles may now be immune from persecution in charity cash probe. King Charles may be exempt from prosecution under Britain's legal system despite an ongoing police investigation into one of his charities. The Metropolitan Police has been investigating after the chief executive of the Princess Foundation was accused of offering to sell Saudi tycoons to help Saudi tycoons secure knighthood and citizenship in exchange for a cash donation. Anti-monarchy campaign Republic reported Charles as an individual when the accusation first emerged in British newspapers, the Sunday Times and the Mail on Sunday. Detectives have never suggested Charles was personally under investigation and do not routinely reveal the identity of suspects prior to any decision made. There is nothing to suggest that Charles had been arrested or interviewed, nor is there any publicly known evidence linking him personally to the allegations. Well, yeah. However, should the evidence pose enough tough questions for Britain's new king, he may be well exempt from prosecution anyway, according to a rule known as the sovereign immunity, under which the British Crown Prosecution Service cannot pursue charges. And they're like, the Met Police is doing an investigation, wink, wink, and quote and unquote investigation. But they're like, but there's, been no evidence. There's been no, they're not suggesting it was him personally who did it. But I'm like, well, there kind of is. You can look at, what about these pictures? Here's Charles with Mr. Mahfouz. We talked about it a million times about with Mr. Mahfouz. Charles and Mr. Mahfouz's family in Riyadh, when Mr. Mahfouz was his CBE was held up. And Prince Charles got into Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and they had like a little, tea or whatever it is at the embassy in Riyadh. Prince Charles met Mr. Mahfouz's family, and 24, because there was a bit of a snag where it was a holdup with Mr. Mahfouz's, honor, and Charles got there within 24 hours. The process was back on, and Mr. Mahfouz was going on to get his CBE. And here's Prince Charles and Camilla presenting Mr. Mahfouz with his CBE. And we talked about this at nauseum, really, about the fact that Mr. Mahfouz just, by himself with his family and his, his work, I guess, his staff there with him. The whole in this such a hush ceremony that it's not even in the court circular. They didn't even put it in the court circular. So it was just one of those things that if you know about these medal presenting ceremonies, there are usually tons and tons of people that do it together on that day. This was just Prince Charles and Mr. Mahfouz getting his CBE. And it's just like, there's kind of evidence, at least could place him at the scene of the crime, and so it just, and they claim like, oh yes, the Metropolitan Police is, investigating, and I'm like, really? Show us some evidence that they're actually investigating. Show us some kind of thing that they're doing something, because we know they're not interviewing Michael Fawcett. They still haven't done that. So it's just interesting. I just was like, oh my goodness. And we were just talking about this. And again, I think for me is what they were doing. They kept pushing it back and waiting for Prince Charles to be king. So then they don't have to quote unquote, dirty their hands and, arrest Prince Charles, I guess. Just like unreal. But anyways, moving on. And so, that original Met Police post, which is actually still on Twitter, but if you click on it to get more information about this investigation, below is what you'd find. Page not found. That's right. They took it down from their site. They don't want people to know that they are investigating King Charles. They took it down. It was just like, oh my goodness, this is real. So anyways, I guess I hope nobody is expecting there to be any charges or anything like that, because there's literally not going to be any. So, and if there's something, the cow will jump over the moon, I swear. So anyways, this. I have to apologize. This, a little bit of a change here. I have to apologize for this because yesterday I talked about this article without bringing the article in. And I talked about this woman who wrote the article, that she's, South Asian. And, one of the things that with South Asian is that, one, they don't usually acknowledge racism in the UK. When Black people report it, they usually only acknowledge it when they are the victims of it. It's like a pattern with that. And so I had said when I talked about her article that she was like that. She didn't talk about racism. She didn't talk about because she wants them to come back, but she didn't talk about the racism that they faced. And so I went on and on about that. And so I just wanted to correct that, because that wasn't exactly correct information. So this is a bit of her article. It says, for all that happened between them, the rights and the wrongs, it made many hope for some kind of reconciliation, talking about, the Sussexes and the Cambridges, especially when the Duke and Duchess of Sussex joined the walkabout with the Prince and Princess of Wales. And it goes on to talk about, they should reconcile, if only so that the British people could look at their shoes. And I mean, it's so shallow, and gawk about their shoes. It goes on to say, I hope the funeral allowed both sides to find baby steps back. I hope that the Sussexes could feel that that having a role within, or at least connected to, the institution could be a huge platform for major transformative work. A podcast or documentary, no matter how well they're paid, is not the same or satisfying as public service. These people, unreal. She goes on to say, but I know it's probably wishful thinking in my heart, and I can understand how nervous the Duchess of Sussex must have been out, back to a country where she experienced so much hate. While the reaction she got from the public on her return was warm, I still saw some vile comments dripping with racism online. There was even a hashtag Go Home Meghan. On top of that, there's the usual sour media suspects unable to say a good word about her. I even saw people criticize the Duchess exposing her forearm at the funeral. So I'm not hopeful for a big comeback. If I were her, I wouldn't want to return to the scene of so much pain. But if the royal family wants to just survive, want to not just survive but thrive, it would be wise to find reconciliation. The king should focus on young Britons. And on the side, it seems like a good article. It wasn't derogatory, at least part of it, it wasn't attacking Meghan in any way. But if you look at some of the things she says, that a podcast or a documentary, no matter how well it's paid, is not the same or satisfying as true public service. And I'm like, so true public service is doing walkabouts and shaking people's hands? That's the true public service you're talking about? It's like, it's incredible that these people don't understand that there's more things outside the monarchy. And again, she's an MBE, so don't expect her ever to, go against the monarchy in any way. And so, but the idea that she thinks a podcast is not a public service, doing a documentary for injured servicemen and women that will benefit them is not public service. Meghan's podcast that's talking about archetypes and about all the ways that women are marginalized and all of those facts and abused. That's not a public service that you can be proud of and it be satisfying. I mean, these people. For the British, it's public service can only mean getting dressed up in heels and going off and wave and spend, their obligatory 40 minutes, and then they jet, and that's a whole day of work for them. And it's just like the absolute, it's just like, are you serious? Are you absolutely serious that people can't find happiness and joy and fulfillment in documentary filmmaking or doing a podcast like the one Meghan is doing? It is incredible that these people think the way they do, And then she goes on. I mean, if you look at the headline of her article, it says King Charles should make Meghan and Harry an offer they can't refuse. That is an offer to come back into the royal family. And it's just like, and then she talks about, all the abuse Meghan has taken. She talks about all the abuse, and it's just like, but you're talking about all this abuse, and then you still want Meghan to come back to that abuse? She even goes on to say, I couldn't do it. I couldn't come back. She's like, if at the end, she says, if I were her, I wouldn't want to return to the scene of so much pain. Yet she finds it perfectly fine to want Meghan to go back to the root of so much pain. That whatever offer Charles give them, they will drop their lives in California, drop their public service. And again, it's not just podcasts and documentaries, which is, for some reason, that's all the reporters see in the UK. They have, for some reason, there's like an Archwell website, and all their work doesn't exist on the internet, and it's like, how condescending and and again, while I had to correct myself, and as her thing, she says, I saw some vile comments dripping with racism online that even had a hashtag go home, Meghan go home. And, she saw the racism online. What she isn't talking about is, one, the racism in the royal family, which Meghan and Harry talked about. Again, she's an MBE, so she's never going to admit to that. She isn't talking, and she's in the press. It's impossible that she couldn't see, as a woman of color, doesn't see the racism that is on the pages of the many tabloids and other British press that has their coded racism target at her. She doesn't call those out. She just calls out the online racism, when they don't want to deal with the fact that the industry that they're in, their very paper do it, and other tabloids do it. They don't want to deal with the fact that, the royal family is like steeped in racism. She doesn't want to call those out, but it's like, let's go to the very safe one, the racism online. That's the one we'll target. And then for a woman of color to say, I would not return to the scene of so much pain. Yet think Meghan and Harry could be bought to come back to the royal family. I mean, one just has to look at all of what they did this week. She's talking about what happened this week, about the walkabout they did in Windsor and all of that stuff. She's acknowledging all the things that, the hashtag, the racism online, all of this happened this week, last week really, and up until the funeral on Monday. But yet she feels perfectly fine for Meghan to come back into this. And why that is? So that the royal family could thrive. And again, the utter audacity of using one of, and again, it's a quote, it's not, anybody could use it, but going back and using something that Meghan talked about her own pain and about trying to survive, not to survive life because she was in such a fragile state when she talked about it, but not just survive, but to thrive. And so she uses that same thing to talk about the monarchy. She would have rather Meghan come back to a place where she is completely abused so that the monarchy could survive. It's not just survive, but to thrive. And that's a thing when I talk about, the monarchy and say people in the press, the British press, and quite a big section of their population, they are very long. They are very much long on pomp and pageantry and all of that spectacle for the funeral and all of those things. That's their thing. They are very long on that, but they're incredibly short on humanity. They're very short on empathy and compassion and love. And they have no sense of human decency at all. And it is so disgusting that she would want this for another woman. And it's the same kind of callousness that with Christina Oxenberg earlier, where it's like, it's okay, Meghan, just hang in there. Hang in, take abuse for the next few years. Somebody's going to come in after you, and they're going to take the abuse, and the press will love you after that. That is the same kind of callousness here. It's the same kind of callousness. And what is so egregious is this is coming from a woman of color. And it's just, yes. But anyways, moving on. So with this, I wanted to clear up, and really apologize and for the wrong information for yesterday, but also touch on some of the things that she talked about in this article. It's one and the same. British people, it's like, y'all, and I don't want to be flippant and say all British people are like that, because they're not. They're, a lot of them are not like that. I mean, a lot of our squatties, and other people are not like that. But it's such a large part of the culture that is like that. And it's just like, they just accept abuse and expect other people to accept abuse. And it's just like, what are you people? So anyways, let's just get a little bit of change in music here. Just something different. We're going to jump into something different. Need a break from the craziness of Shutter Island for a second. Okay, my fade game is not so on today because my my mouse have the my battery died, and I'm like, I went outside and forgot to get a battery for it, and I'm like using my mouse pad, and it's not the same. I don't have the same control as I do when I use a mouse, and so it's just like my fade game is not working. It's not really fading today. But anyways, completely different change in topic. This is amazing. Nova Reid, who is an activist, she speaks out a lot about prejudice, about racism, and she's incredible. She's a writer, an author, and she actually met Meghan before when Meghan just was new to she may have met her other times as well, I don't know, but I know that I saw a picture of her when Meghan was kind of relatively newly married to Harry, obviously to Harry, and I think the Queen had presented her with some kind of award, and for her work, and so she wrote this incredible poem, encouragement, or I don't know, a spoken word kind of thing for Meghan, letting her know with all the things that she's going through that she sees her. And I posted it in our community page. So I hope you guys have had a chance to read it. And also I tagged like Meghan's friends like Daniel Martin and Nacho and Delphina. I just wanted to make sure that Meghan got this because it's so amazing. And so today I saw a post for it, and I think it was on her Instagram thing where Daniel had liked it. So at least I know he got it, not from me. He liked, from her. He saw did and he liked it. So I'm sure that he would have sent it on to Meghan, because I remember when the squatty, what's the name? V had done the Still I Rise one for Meghan. He made sure she got it. So I'm hoping that, that the same thing happened. But it's such an incredibly powerful piece, and I want to read it just in case some of you hadn't seen it and you had not, had a chance to look at it on community page. And when I'm done, definitely jump over there and see it and read it and have it there for yourself. It says, Nova Reader Official, Dear Meghan, I see you. I know the kind of strength it takes to get up and the extraordinary courage it takes to show up again and again. I know the weathering and the toll this takes on the body, mind, and soul. I know the anti-Blackness dressed up as critique or feedback. I see you. I know only too well this type of a corrosive racism hidden under the guise of condescending looks and dysfunctional British pleasantries. We know the envy at your societal advancement is the tacit agreement by some that you are too big for your boots. We know the difference between being disliked and being dehumanized. We too experience the mean girl, infantile yet abusive denigration. We see you. I see the disproportionate moral outrage at your every move. I know the powerful pull to shrink, to fight back, or to swallow and maintain equilibrium while remaining rooted in integrity. We know the pain of being hated. We know the exhaustion from the anticipation and the blocking every attack. We know unfairness of the double standard and the disproportionate scrutiny. We know that the reflective urge they have to police and to correct us and to put us back in our metaphorical place is not random. It is designed. We know the ugly vilification you experience is because of your Blackness, because the historical and continued dehumanization of a Black woman is no coincidence. It was and still is a form of prolonged social control. Resist. I see your grace. I see your courage. I see your boundaries. I see your vulnerabilities. But my God, do I see your grace? Because I know grace. I know all that it takes. I know all that it takes of us not to turn others' baseless hate into poison and retaliate. White supremacy is rooted in the lack of empathy. The only way white supremacy functions is by disconnecting us from our humanity. We resist by reclaiming ours, because if we won't, who will? So you continue to cry. Continue to display tenderness by holding your husband's hand. Relish in those moments of joy. Hold those firm boundaries. Reclaim your anger. Enjoy those never let go hugs and never-ending belly. Enjoy those never let go hugs and never-ending belly laughs. Live in your humanity and do what Black women have done. And I am going to take this off so I can read the end. I just realized, let me just take that off and I can read the end of it. Banner, take it off. There we go. And I'll just read that again. It says, enjoy those never ending, enjoy those never let me let enjoy those never let me go hugs. Oh my goodness. And never ending belly laughs. Live in your full humanity and do what Black women have always done. Thrive in spite of. I see you, Nova. And so on her Instagram page, she also says this. So you get the audio of it. And also on the first post, she also has this entire piece there. It is so powerful and moving. I was just like, oh my goodness, when I saw it. So we were all tweeting it out yesterday and then again, so Daniel, Megan's friend, liked it. So I am just so happy that he got to see it, and hopefully he got to share it with her. And again, as he shared this Still I Rise one, I'm hoping that he did this one as well. And so yes, very exciting. But anyway, that's it, guys. That's all I got. Thank you so much to our awesome moderators who will be moderating this. I appreciate you guys. I'm probably going to drop it late, so maybe you won't there. But either way, when we do our lives, you are there. Awesome moderators are there. And Lydia, Trish, Nelly, Karen M., Julia Rock, and Cookies and Cream. Thank you guys, as always, for all the incredible work that you do, for being part of this, adventure with me and adventure with us. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you. And also all of our wonderful Two Cents Crew members who support the channel on a monthly basis. You are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, to our Gold Star supporters who have been supporting the channel, whether it's by super chats, super stickers, super things, merchandise, PayPal, Cash App. Thank you, thank you, thank you all so much. And by all of those ways, you can donate if you want to, or be a part of joining the Two Cents Crew, or donating by any of those means. So of course that you are not obligated to any of that at all. But if you want to, and you want to support the channel, I'll be most appreciative. So thank you so much in advance. Again, as the little scrolly thing at the bottom says, please, if you haven't already, subscribe and click the notification bell so that you know when we drop a video. Please like this video and share it as we build our community. Thank you, guys. We are getting close to 5,000, and I'm very excited about that. So please, share so that our channel can keep growing, and I appreciate all of that. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much, and I look forward to doing a live with you again this week. Yeah, absolutely. It will be amazing to spend some hang time with you. So have a great time. Have a great night, you guys, or a great day, or whenever it is you're watching this or listening to it. I love you all, and I will see you next time. Bye.